Welcome to Surviving with Sass podcast. Surviving with Sass is about healing from sexual assault, or any trauma, really, and preventing sex assault from happening to others. We all have our hurts, and we can all grow and heal from them. I feel called to help others begin the work of healing. A friend once told me God doesn't call the empowered, He empowers the called. Please join me while we talk with guests about their views and experience with sex assault. I will share stories from my experiences as well. We will speak to other survivors and hear their stories to allow for more connections with you, our listeners. My name is Tara Schaefer, and I am a survivor. I am surviving sexual assault from the age of 6. I endured the assaults for 8 years. I was also raped during my freshman year of college. I often think people will flinch when they hear that fact. The fact that I allowed this type of thing to happen to me again. Join me and find out why I think that is and how I hope to give others the tools to prevent that from happening to them. The names and other identifiers of perpetrators and others connected will be changed to protect innocent persons. And the content is from my memories as a child and may differ from the views of others involved. I realize this may detract from the credibility of my work, but it is important to me that no one be harmed by this podcast. I am not in the business of vengeance or hate. I am only sharing to help others heal from or prevent sexual violence. Here is my story. I was 6 years old the first time it happened. Myself and the neighbor kids were playing hide and seek. I was the only girl there. That was not unusual, as there were only 2 girls on our street. We played hide and seek while the adults were socializing in the kitchen. One of the older kids found me, hiding in my room between my bed and the nightstand. The lights were off to provide for better hiding opportunities. Upon finding me, he held me there in that spot. He reached his hand down the front of my pants, and I froze in shock and fear. I remember the exact feelings I had. It felt wrong and weird. No one had touched me there, and the physical feelings were strange and created such shame instantly. He told me not to tell anyone because my parents would hate me, and that caused fear. And I was sure that he was right. They would hate me. So sure that I did not tell them for 41 years. But that's a whole other podcast. We will get to that in the future. I was changed profoundly and forever in that moment. This would occur regularly, tainting most weekends, family vacations, and many other random days over the next 8 years of my childhood. When I was 14, I had my first boyfriend. We would get together for a movie or visit each other's house. But the raciest thing we did together was hold hands. Having a boyfriend must have awakened something in me that made me put my foot down. One night when the older neighbor boy stayed over at our house, he came into my room. He was now legally an adult. I awakened to his hand moving across my leg from the side of the bed. I opened my eyes and punched him in the face. I told him to get out or I would scream. He left immediately. I locked myself in my parents' room. I was full of adrenaline. My parents were out of town. I was so empowered by this triumph. He only attempted to do this one more time during that same year. I told him never to mess with me again, and he didn't. Not that he ever had the opportunity, as he went off to college and was no longer around. I was free. Or so I thought. Years later, after much struggle and very little self-respect, I would realize I needed help dealing with the damage I had suffered from these encounters. But not yet. During college, I would begin partying and drinking almost daily. I was promiscuous and out of control. My grades were not of importance to me until my senior year in college. Sometimes I would think I was at rock bottom, only to find I had just hit another bump in my fall towards rock bottom. My freshman year, I was raped by a man who lived in the same dormitory on a lower floor. I did not know him, but I lived in that dorm throughout the rest of my freshman year and had to see him in the cafeteria from time to time. I confronted him once, asking him about that night, and he told me I was just a slut that night, and I believed him. I will elaborate on that event in a different podcast as well. These are the events that changed my soul. Please subscribe or listen to future podcasts to hear how I overcame these challenges and finally became a truly free spirit.